Hi guys, today we're going to learn how to do some cutting. Some of the things you'll need to cut include obviously a cutting knife. These ones are craft right, very nice, blade kind of slides out. You'll need a metal ruler, not a plastic one, because the plastic will just get cut by the knife and you might end up cutting your finger. So there's a couple of different types of metal rules you can use. The bigger the better, because it's going to be more sturdy on your job. You'll need your polypropylene, obviously the thing that you're going to cut, and I'm working on a cutting mat board here, but if you're working next door, you'll need one of these, which is a cutting mat, so that we don't damage the tops of our table surfaces. Okay, so what I'm going to show you now is how to do some cutting. I've got the bit of polypropylene that you'll be supplied with for your practicing, and I've also marked that in half. You should be able to see that line on there, and that's what I'm going to cut. There are a couple of things that are really important when you're cutting. Number one is to have a nice sharp blade. Now hopefully I can get the blade out, there we go. A nice sharp blade. If it's blunt, if you can see that tip broken off, then come and see me and I'll give you a new one. You also want a metal rule. I prefer a bigger ruler because it's nice and heavy. Okay, so it's not going to move around as much, but a little one will do just fine. What we will need to do is line up your ruler onto your line. Remember, you want it nice and accurate on that line, and then grab your knife. Notice where I'm putting my fingers. They're not overlapping the edge of my ruler, because when I cut down the edge of the ruler, I don't want to cut into my fingers. So we want to keep it on the furthest edge from where we're cutting. Line up your ruler along your pencil line and then just drag it down. Now I might need to drag it probably even maybe 3 or 4 or 5 times to cut through the polypropylene. Very rarely, you shouldn't be pushing hard enough to get through in one cut. It should take you a few times, and you can see that the polypropylene's just come away itself. Okay, so that's how we get a nice straight cut and 2 pieces. That you can then, one person can have one and one person can have the other. Okay, when you're cutting a longer piece of polypropylene, you need to do what's known as the caterpillar. Now that might sound a bit funny, but basically what you're doing is keeping your hands still on the ruler, making a cut, stopping before you go past your thumb, and then sliding your hand down. Now my hand was in the way, so I'll show you again. You're doing a bit of a caterpillar. You can see it's kind of a caterpillar movement. What that does is mean that while you're cutting with your knife, the pressure from your hand is holding the ruler in place and it won't kick out like that. Okay, so here we go. I'll show you what we need to do. So if you're right-handed, left hand down on the ruler, right hand on your knife, and you're going to cut. You're going to stop before you get to where your thumb is and do the caterpillar down, and then I'm going to continue cutting. Okay, down to the end of my piece. And then I'm going to pin my ruler and come back up and do it again. Remember, it should take us about 3 or 4 goes to get through the polypropylene, because you don't want to push too hard. Once again. And still need to go. It hasn't come away yet. Okay, you can see it's starting to come away by itself. And that way I know it's done. You can also grab it like that. I can see I've only got the end part here to do, so I don't need to go to the caterpillar all the way up to the top. And hey presto, I've cut my bit.